But let me start with you, Jason.
Uh-oh. I just put a piece of gum.
I know. I'm going to pick on you right away.
I know you're not supposed to do that during presentations, but it's my fault. Sorry.
That's okay. So I opened up talking about how supply chain and manufacturing helps drive revenue, and you have a lot of different sales organizations with your different product mix that you support. What are some of the challenges you have meeting their expectations?
I think one of the key components, as Dave mentioned, with Hurricane Sandy and the urgency of product required to a particular region, in the Gulf area, obviously many hurricanes, and one product that I'm passionate about in the boating industry is our outboard motor division. We produce obviously very expensive product, and when talking about that specific product line, servicing the needs of, example, oil spills in the Gulf. We were a major supplier for many private and public companies, and the just-in-time, as it will, for finished goods to meet those needs of any ecological disaster. Generators, obviously, are another product that we produce. So when situations such as that, natural disasters or man-made disasters happen, meeting the immediacy of need for a product. Again, looking at motorcycle or ATV, completely recreational for the most part, not a need for necessarily the fastest of supply chain, because it's a want, not a need. So that dichotomy, that disparity between the required supply lines at times focuses, a challenge within my division, and meeting the needs of the sales groups themselves. Of course, everybody, I didn't show you, but different silos for the different product lines, each running their own P&L, but as a logistician, we're supplying a service to our sales organization, so keeping costs down at different levels is required at times. So that's, sorry, I expounded on that a little bit too far perhaps, but thank you.
Thanks. So when we talk about customers, a lot of times our customers are internal customers. So Mercedes, when we look at the manufacturing process and the just-in-time manufacturing, and you have suppliers that are both domestic as well as imports, how do you balance that and have everything, what are some of the processes that have such precision timing on that?
Well, I guess there's multiple questions in that, so it's yes, yes, and yes. Everything is yes, always. It's much easier. Anyway, our production, with our production is we create 68 units per hour, and that is a fantastic job done by our over 2,500 employees, that team members that we have. That's about a training, between training and lunches and all that combined, we come up with 1,430 vehicles per day. So that's being able to combine all of our suppliers and being able to do it all as a just-in-time logistics is a lot of work.
Early on, you talked about the different channels, and I appreciate the fact that the panel covers a broad spectrum from make to stock to assemble to order type industries. And the question I have has to do with service levels and channels. And I'm trying to phrase it in a most cohesive manner, and the best I can come up with is, how do you determine what your different customers really want? You can talk about 97% service level on parts. Okay, well, sure, a consumer that's buying a part for something that's broken, they want it sent to them by transporter beam so it arrives instantly. But not all customers might necessarily want instantaneous fulfillment of their needs, for example, if they're ordering a school bus. So how do you determine what your different customers, what your different channels really want in terms of customer service levels?
Anybody want to take a crack at that? Or?
Good. You want me to go? Again, with the diverse product that Yamaha produces, and you touch base on that of a school bus, that of a generator, something that may or may not be immediately required, I think you have to have, as I mentioned, a flexible yet cost-effective supply chain. You have to determine, as a manager of logistics, I have to be involved with my sales organizations. I have to interface with my customers, or I should say my sales organization's customers. I'm directly involved on a truly day-to-day basis with these people, and I guess a benefit to me is that I'm from the industry. I grew up, riding motorcycles. It's in my blood, if you will. We at Yamaha have diverse lines of supply based on that need. For example, we have backorder situations like every company does on a daily basis to provide service parts. There's obviously that moving average cost and supply quantity that comes into a factor for how do you bring that in. Just the turn rate and the statistics behind the items denotes what kind of a supply line. So I think what we look at is statistics. We look at the touch and feel of our customer and knowing people or putting people in place such as myself that understand our industry through and through. So kind of a broad way of looking at it, but it really depends on your customer. As you said, how do you know that? You get involved.
Right. And so, for example, if you have an e-commerce type company, you really need to look at the value of the product, the price point of the product, and what kind of return behavior might happen depending on how long it takes the customer to get something. So for some companies, we've seen a correlation between the length of time from their order to their receipt of the product with the percentage of remorse returns, where they might wait a few days, they're not as excited about the purchase they made, and they decide to return something. So for some companies, it's worth expediting the shipment in order to cut down on those remorse returns. So it really does come down to doing the math and seeing what kind of customer behavior happens in those different channels, and not treating every channel the same. So that's really where that omni-channel comes into play. Is you've got one customer experiencing the brand, and there's different channels that you're getting that product, and those different channels have different delivery requirements depending on what those customers' expectations of the brand are at that point.
May I?
Sure.
We are, like I said before, we are customer driven. Not every customer has the same style. We don't, if it was that, everybody would be redheaded, because I like redhead, even though it's not my original color. But anyway.
Really?
Seriously, it's in a bottle. Anyway, so we have to listen to our customers, and this is one of the reasons why we continue to have facelifts in our vehicles. A vehicle that we did in 2000, and obviously in 2009, is not going to look the same way as a vehicle that we're doing today. And this is because of the fact that maybe the customer did not like the material of that leather. They wanted maybe another material of leather. So we are continuously having facelift, and because of the fact of that, to be able to accommodate our customers, we have to really look into the cost savings and lead time of our supply chain. Now, at the end of the day, if we save money, who's going to be saving money also is our customer. Okay, because we're going to be able to put that product out there at a better cost. So, and that's what we're looking for. But how do you do that? You listen to your customer. You have to have a communication, an open communication with your customer, and that's what we do. We have surveys. We have a lot of different areas or strategics that we use so that we can, at the end of the day, listen to our customer and provide the service that our customers needed. And this is one of the reasons as to why our sales have increased in such a short time of us being here in West Point, Georgia.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Next question? Anybody? Yes, right back here.
Can you hear me? What would you say is your greatest obstacle to maximum load optimization, and how have you worked with your vendors and logistics providers to come up with the best solution for you?
Any specific mode that you're interested in on that question?
I guess primarily sea freight LCL.
Okay. Anybody want to tackle that?
LCL's a tough one.
Let me take a shot at that. I mean, certainly LCL is a big challenge, and as we try to cube out or weight out the containers that we bring over from our various supply sources, and frankly, we do a lot of importing to the United States from Asia. We also do and are doing some importing into South America with a dropship program directly from those Asian countries into South and Latin America. But LCL is always a bit of a challenge, and we are unable to necessarily always consolidate to try to fill out that container, and so we end up having to, charge a bit more for it. And for us, if we're able to understand the timeline for the demand for that product, whether it's a home being built or a hotel being built out, or if it's just a stocking order, it gives us the chance to do a little bit of consolidation. And what we're trying to do is, if we have sufficient bandwidth and sufficient volume of product going through, we actually are able to do some consolidation at some localized DCs. And we're beginning to look right now for our business at supporting South America with potentially a location perhaps in Panama as a place where we'll actually do some consolidation and then do smaller shipments from there out to various parts of Latin America.
Yeah, and we've actually found the LCL to be a little bit of a sweet spot for us. So again, not meaning to be a shameless plug here, but if you want to come see me afterwards, I can get you in touch with some good people. So
That's a sales pitch for the day.
sorry. I've got time, I think, for one more question. Right here in the front row.
My question is to anyone on the panel. Are any of you guys set up as an FTZ, and if so, does it improve or hinder your ability to feed your manufacturing line, and what challenges do you guys have with being an FTZ, if it's even applicable?
Actually, our facility in Newnan is a foreign trade zone. Challenges range from obviously compliance to that of the physical location itself. On that map, there were a couple of buildings that were acquired outside of the original property line. And so just dealing with that compliance aspect, paperwork, and being familiar with the zoning regulations. As far as the supply line itself, no. One challenge that I've looked at and tried to solicit in the recent years to our manufacturing facility was that of more transloading. Transloading with POs, and obviously the bonding issue with the containers coming in and trying to change that from a 40-foot to a 53-foot, and you're combining different POs and again bonds. It's that again from a compliance perspective is difficult. If you have cargo that moves all the way from point A to Z, not an issue whatsoever. There's substantial cost savings, in my opinion, if you're depending on your procurement outside of the country and dependent upon your export volume. We're beginning, again, with the downturn in the economy and the weakening of the dollar. We've done a lot more exporting, which I've gotten more involved in the last few years. So that's a big issue, and that's an improvement to cost, a substantial amount, in fact. So we did another study considering the West Coast area, putting in a zone. Really, we were able to change operational things, believe it or not, operational functions of consolidation, believe it or not, that we decided it's not imperative to put a zone in on the West Coast. And again, I say consolidation, the way we file our entries and things of that nature. So we risk that of customs. We are a CT-PAT participant at a Tier 2 level. Very dedicated to that, and I think from that perspective, we've been fortunate to, again, be able to put the initiative of consolidating entries and things of that nature and not worrying so much about a particular product line being held due to customs inspection. Actually, our product's more suited for EPA inspections than it is anything of weapons of mass destruction or something like that. So, but customs is always involved in every point, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. For the most part, automobile manufacturings are foreign trade zones. We're a little special in that aspect because of the fact that we're not a foreign trade zone. Okay. We analyzed that way back, and we realized that with the free trade agreement that we have with Korea, it wasn't cost effective to maintain a free trade zone. we do participate, as well as my colleague with CT-PAT. We are a Tier 3, and it has a tremendous benefit that has allowed us to be able to continue with our flow, and especially now that they're having some issues with the new laws that they're doing this short of time and cutting their hours. That has not had an impact as of yet to us, but I'm sure that that's something to think about and also incorporate it into the logistics of our day-to-day work. But foreign trade zones is one of my specialties. I was with the U.S. government and in Port Everglades for over 13 years. It's okay. That's why I'm no longer with them. Anyway, no. They taught me everything I know. No. No, but actually, you know, you have to admire their also with all these new regulations that they have. But we decided that foreign trade zone was just not for us at this present time with our volume that we have and with the free trade agreement that has taken place. Thank you.
Great. Well, I think we have run out of time, and I know that we are standing between you and lunch, so we won't take any more of your time. But I would like to thank the panel. Very informative and entertaining at times, so thank you.